There are certain queer times and occasions in this strange mixed affair we call life when a man takes this whole universe for a vast, practical joke, though the wit thereof he but dimly discerns, and more than suspects that the joke is at nobody's expense but his own. Herman Melville. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Kingsport 1851, Volume 2, our ongoing sailing voyage into the heart of the American nightmare. I am joined by my exceptional cast who are on a just perfectly average, normal, totally, completely regular sea voyage. So let me introduce them. So please, why don't I start with someone I have played with a lot, and I'm always happy to have him at my table. So please, let's welcome Justin, who is playing Eamon Whistler Burns, who is our old sea dog and our kinsman.
Hi, my name's Justin. He, him player, he, him character, and I am playing Whistler, the old salt who signed up to have a perfectly normal voyage and is aiming to have it be a perfectly normal voyage. Unfortunately, fate seems to be conspiring against me.
Fate. Yeah, well, no, it's fate. It's pretty much all fate. So why don't we go next to the captain of this here Barky, someone I've had enormous fun playing with over the years, who already was a Kingsporter, but now gets to be an extended Kingsporter. I mean, you're that rare set that has played Kingsport in multiple systems at this point, but technically Justin is too. So please, let's welcome Sarah, who's playing Clement Thorne, our captain and our lover.
Yes, he saw God last session, maybe heard God's voice. A God, maybe not his God. It is still unclear. It is still unclear to me. We will hopefully find out. He's just acting on faith right now.
Well, I mean, definitely, it's in the nature of God to, completely reveal oneself with zero questions or anything like that. Well, we go next to a one of our novice Kingsporters, but someone I've had the pleasure of playing with in other games, and has proven to be a most interesting member of this crew. So please, let's welcome Marissa, who's playing Lilith Belvedere, our scholar and believer.
Hi, everybody. I'm Marissa, and yes, I am playing Lilith Belvedere, she, her pronouns, also she, her player. Lilith is a part marine biologist, part theorist, and part fiction writer. Last session, she had the pleasure of being dumped overboard from a small vessel into the water where she got to swim with a whale, and she had a really, kind of profound moment with the whale until it was murdered in front of her eyes. And so she's been trying to deal with the repercussions of that on her psyche, which is, going well, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's going to be fine. It's just smooth sailing from here on in. And finally, another novice Kingsporter, but someone who I've also played with in other games with Marissa, as it turns out. So please, let's welcome Dorian, who's playing Angus Mellinson, our Strider and Outcast.
Yeah, I'm Dorian. Both Angus and I use he and him pronouns. Last session, Angus had a much less eventful time at a somewhat strange religious service than everyone else did. And we had some fun on a boat. I rescued someone who had gone overboard, not Lilith, and also got reflective about life and death and my part in those cycles. It was a introspective kind of day for him.
Well, I mean, where would we be in the story of an American whaler if there wasn't heavy introspection, meditations on the nature of God and metaphysics? The whole
It's the
night.
literary tradition.
Yeah, it's pretty much required. I mean, they're very literary sailors, I think. So, when last we left off, the captain threw a stowaway over the boat, and she walked on water and summoned up a great storm. So this was, you know, and that storm lasts. Well, what's tradition here? 3 nights and 3 days.
I was going to guess 40 for a minute.
No. We simply don't have the budget for 40 days and 40 nights. We only have a 5-minute montage of storm footage available. And when it ends on a very foggy morning with the wind rapidly dying out of the sails. And I guess I want to know who's on watch.
I can be on watch. I think Angus has mostly not brushed too closely against the supernatural stuff, so it may be time to bring that to him if this watch goes as
Absolutely.
strangely as things have recently.
Would you like to have another player character with you? Because we can totally do that. I will stand off stage and shove them out onto the stage.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested in having someone with me on this watch, certainly. If any of the other player characters want to jump in, it's always fun to flesh out those relationships. We've also got a whole cast of colorful NPCs.
So I think Whistler kind of comes up on deck. It's not his watch, but he's not a sit still kind of guy, and he's already lost that card. So what's the point in staying below decks?
Yeah. What time of night did you say it was, Kat?
It's right around dawn. So
Okay,
and
so
it's
it's
an absolute pea super. Like you can't see anything, but you can already feel the heat beginning to rise around you because you're approaching the equator. So it's not warm now because you have all this mist and you're coming out of the night, but like you can feel that heat just on the edge of the day.
Yeah, I think Angus will nod at you as you sort of come out of the fog, which you're probably very close to him by that point.
Oh
And
yeah.
he'll be like, couldn't sleep?
Oh, I'm an early to bed, early to rise sort of fella. Especially when we're on the voyages. Not much to do at night.
I mean, I bet Don's how to do it.
Oh, aye. Get up, get things going, see who's late, it's being tardy.
It's a good time of day. There's something appealing about the world when it's on that little knife's edge there.
Oh, I mean, be nice to be able to see the world right now, though, wouldn't it?
That's certainly true. I guess there's no risk of running aground, though.
No. In these waters? No. Unless the ground was chasing us.
He looks briefly concerned, but
It's just a whole joke, I promise. I know the last few days have been a mite strange, but never heard of the ground actually chasing no one. Have you?
No, but some of the creatures in these waters are certainly large enough to have a similar effect, no doubt.
Oh, strange things. Sometimes I've been on a boat what has been bumped by a whale. Something similar. It's always a little unsettling. You know, you're kind of wondering, it's like, is this someone's brother out for revenge?
Do you think they think to that degree?
I don't know. I mean, they travel around in a group, and they aren't dumb. I mean, your average fish, you could trick it with a damned worm on a hook. I mean, why do we fish even eat worms? Worms are in the ground, not in the water, and there they go, biting worms. It's not that smart.
We all have to eat something, Mr. It's been 2 weeks. I've forgotten everyone's surname. We all have to eat something, Mr. Burns.
Oh, I agree. Just a bit of a funny thing to be doing. But they seem to be a bit smarter. You know, the mums, they look after their calves, and they seem to have some kind of organization to them. But how smart they are, I mean, who knows? It's kind of a hard thing to gauge. Never really thought about it too much. Now that you mention it, I hope they aren't smart.
This business isn't terribly respectful, is it?
I mean, it's a bloody job. And I don't mean that as a curse. I mean that quite literally. It's a bloody job.
Oh, that's not I have no objections to blooders. I am a hunter,
Yeah.
Mr. Burns.
Well, exactly, but I mean, I guess it feels a little bit different, you know. I have a cousin who's a butcher. And he doesn't kind of have the guilt that sometimes I get, you know, when we do what we do. I don't enjoy every aspect of this job, you know. I like being at sea. I like the money it gives me. It keeps a roof over my head when I'm on land. And I mean, I was talking to Dr. Driftwood about this the other day. And you know, I don't think what we're doing is necessarily bad, but at the same time, it's not necessarily good either.
I just wish. No, I don't know. The way you do things is different from the way I've done things, and I suppose that's the way of the world in the end, really.
No, we keep bouncing into one another, finding out how different and similar we are. It's a bit strange, you know?
I mean, I think any two people will have that experience in one way or another. I'm sure you and Miss Belvedere have more in common than is apparent at first blush.
I'm sure we do. We just have yet to find it.
Do you think
No,
you'll try?
I mean, I think she'll try for me. You know, she seems to be hell bent on becoming a fine whaler, so she asks me tons of questions.
Yeah, he does. He does laugh at that. She's very driven.
Oh, yes. Driven in much the same way the rocks in an avalanche are driven. Just all force. It's quite interesting being around her. I'll definitely say that. You know, sometimes, you know, these long voyages, you're out here for years, and it can get a little boring from now and then, as you can imagine.
Yeah, and I think Angus gets a little. You know, this has been a fairly light, jokey conversation, and he gets a little more serious at that. And he's just like, "Well, this one certainly hasn't been that."
Oh no, this has not been a boring voyage. I've been on boats all my life. I've never been on you know, well, the only time I've ever been on a stranger voyage was when the damn boat sank.
Well, let us pray that this is not a repeat of that.
Aye, and be careful what you pray to. I feel like there are things listening to us that usually don't.
Well, that seems like the perfect point for the mist has been gradually getting lighter, and then it suddenly like lifts as the warm air elevates the mist above you, and not more than 500-600 rods off the starboard quarter, you see another whaler sitting there like you, now suddenly becalmed.
Huh.
Can we recognize the boat?
Yes, a quick. So whalers, much like warships, actually flew their own flag that would allow you to look it up in a book, and this proves to be the Verity out of New Bedford, Connecticut.
What shape is it in? Like,
it's
good repair?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's in distress. There's a ancient seagoing whaling custom called the gam, whereby ships will visit each other, and the tradition is that the captains go to one ship and the first mates go to the other.
Oh. All right, you wait here, Angus. I'm gonna go see if I can wake the captain.
Yeah, he nods. He's very like focused and intent now. I think just because of his own background, like anytime there's like a dramatic change in a situation, suddenly he's very quick to like, you know, just sort of like zero in.
Mm-hmm. I stumble off, knock on the captain's door.
Yeah, Clement is absolutely already awake. Comes and answers it pretty quickly.
We have visitors.
There's a pause, and then I probably look past you and see the ship right there.
I think Lilith hears this from below decks. Visitors! Bounds up.
Just like through the grating.
Yeah.
What are you hiding down there?
You just hear the rustle of skirts in response.
So the tradition would be who goes where, and can we send extra people if we would like?
It was whoever rode over. That captain would come aboard, and then you would send the first mate back. So I'm gonna let you choose.
Well, let's give them a few minutes, see if they come over.
All right. So you wait a bit, and indeed they are lowering a boat. And as is the custom of the sea, the captain must remain standing in the middle of the boat as it gets rowed over, no matter how rough the sea becomes. But fortunately, you're becalmed, so while there's a swell, there's no particularly dangerous waves. So he approaches up and requests permission to come aboard.
I have a move. Is this person important?
Right, they're another ship captain. That's probably
So
important.
yeah, probably.
I mean, it's
Okay.
your call anyway. So
But yeah, I'll just like nod to Whistler if he'd like to start going over.
Oh, hi, Captain.
So the captain and his first mate crawl up the cleats onto the deck. If you want to roll that move now, you
Yep.
be my
Who is this?
this would be Captain Isaac Purchase of the Verity.
Isaac Purchase.
I will go put them on the other cast.
Nice. That is an 8 plus 2 is 10. Oh, so I take 1 forward in dealing with them as well. Can you tell me a bit about them? Like, I'm trying to figure out what he might be interested in having heard. What it might be interesting for him to have heard.
Captain Purchase is well known as a very methodical captain who never listens to mere rumors, but always requires evidence before he sails off onto a new fishing ground, but is generally quite successful when he gets there.
Okay, something weird then. In London at a party once, Clement like in the middle of a storm just like pointed at the sky and like 2 people got struck by lightning. Definitely because of him. But yeah, I will nod to him or salute or whatever the done thing is.
All right, so he nods and climbs aboard. And Captain Thorne, I believe, yes?
Captain Purchase.
Well, we both seem to be in the same pickle.
Nice one. Not for too long, I hope.
Well, it never lasts. It never lasts. We're not so desperate yet that we'll need to have the men row out and try and tow the ship, but such things have been known to happen. Please let me introduce to you my first officer, Prester Hager. He's this big, tall, silent-looking guy with one of those, Quaker beards, beard, no mustache. He just nods, and then there's a short, wiry guy with a dark olive complexion. This is Sophocles Fernandez, our first boat steerer. He swipes off his cap and knuckles it.
This is Eamon Burns, my first mate, and I'll introduce whoever else is standing about as everybody.
I think Lilith enters the conversation late, probably, as she is trying to get her whole dress up from below decks. But she does, at a particularly probably inopportune time, stumble into the conversation.
So Captain Purchase tops his hat and says, "Ma'am, am I addressing Mrs. Thorne?"
Oh no!
Clement just
no.
blinks a couple times.
I think you see Lilith kind of go red a little bit, but she carries herself very well, and she recovers and says, "No, I am the scribe, but I can see why you would make that mistake."
So yes, it's true what they say about these Kingsporters. They're all hen frigates. And he nods at Prester, who sort of suppresses a chuckle.
I'm sorry. What did you call us?
Oh, forgive me. I'm a rough-talking sailor, ma'am. A hen frigate is a boat that has females aboard while on voyage.
Hen frigate. She flips open her book, writes it down.
Tea.
I would be delighted, and Mr. Hager would be happy to take your first mate over to the Verity.
Yep, just nod to Whistler.
Oh, hi, Captain. I'll be back. Don't you worry, I won't cause trouble like that last time.
If you'd like to take anyone else, you're welcome to.
Fine. Angus.
Does not look at Lilith, but
Angus, Dr. Driftwood, either of you fancying a trip?
I'm always down for a trip. There's not very elsewhere to go these days.
Oh, that's fine. Come on, climb aboard. We'll go say hi.
Yeah, Angus will follow.
Oh, fantastic.
So as you're lowering down into the boat, Corey slides down the side of the ship, lands quite neatly inside the boat. Knuckles her cap to you, Knuckles her little straw hat to you, Whistler, and says, "With your permission, sir."
Oh, aye, why not? More the merrier.
Indeed. So you're over to the Verity. The Verity is a very prim and proper ship, but Whistler, what is out of place?
I'm going to assume that they've hit a bad spell because I see more crew on board than there is equipment for the ship. As in, maybe they lost some in a storm or whatnot. Like, I see 4 harpooneers, 2 harpoons. Seems a bit strange.
Lilith, what's delightful about the Verity?
Oh, well, the Verity has many reflections and comforts of home. After all, it is a very prim and proper ship. So although the equipment may be lacking, everything is very polished and very prim and pristine. And you can tell that particularly the captain enjoys the finer things. You can see, there's definitely an attention to detail, as well as some trappings of, creature comforts aboard. You can tell there's like a very fine tea set that the captain has spared no expense for having a couple of nice things on the journey that can make the hard times a little better.
And Angus, what draws your suspicion?
Building off of what Lilith said, I think while there's like a decent number of, sort of like luxurious little creature comforts that are visible in spaces the captain might use, the spaces that like would just be frequented by non-captain crew everything looks like substantially more worn out, and in some cases almost unsafely so. There's a definite disparity.
All right, so you're met on the deck by the other boat steerers and the other mates, and everyone seems strangely pleased to see you all. Though they give Corey and Lilith a slightly odd look, but Corey just stands there stoically with her clay pipe jammed in her mouth, just sort of ignoring all of them. So Fernandez, who hasn't said a single word so far, continues that streak. He's just sort of very carefully watching you, especially Whistler. But Hager finally unbends a little and says, well, 'tis early for grog, but tea if you'll take it.
Oh, I haven't had a chance to have my morning cuppa.
Have you
Oh.
had breakfast, Whistler Burns?
No, not yet.
Well, come. We ain't got much, but what we have we'll share with ye.
I appreciate it very much. It's a nice boat you have here. It's shining like it was fresh out the dock.
It's the captain's pleasure to keep a tight ship. You
Good.
know, he was a young middy during the war with the British. He likes that sort of naval spit and polish, even though he's been a mercenary for these 30 years.
Has he ever been on a whaling voyage?
Aye.
Oh, aye. Have you bagged
10
any
years or
whales yet?
more. Not yet.
Oh.
We don't expect the hunting to get better till we get to the colder waters.
Oh.
So by this point, you're probably down in the cabin, and he's rung for the steward, who is this aged little gnome of a guy who's carrying out very slowly a tea set, plops it down on the table, puts out some ship's biscuits for you to dip into your tea. I mean, ship's biscuits are hardtack; they're incredibly dense.
Yeah.
But soaking them in tea helps a little bit.
Yeah, like putting a brick in like a warm pail of water. Just soften it right up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Do you want to know how they cook? How do they make the meat? Where you have to soak it for a day in fresh water to get all the salt out? I mean, the salt out, not all the salt. Not by a long shot.
Just some of it.
Yeah.
I thank you for the meal. Yeah, we got lucky. We ran by a pod not too long ago. I managed to bag one of them. Hey, even our fair doctor up there got a hand in it.
I got to see the whale. It was magical.
Oh, aye.
Yeah, you find it magical to see a whale on a whaler.
Well, you see, I swam with the whale. That was the magical bit. Well, up until the whale met its end.
That is the... He figures that there's just no point in going on at that.
I just give him the shake of the head, like, you're not gonna like where this goes. Hi, do you been needing any extra supplies? You seem to be a little sparse up on your deck there. I mean, we got extra rope and whatnot if you need it.
I won't lie. Were there a port up to our standards, we'd probably put in and see what we could scrounge, but we're already some leagues south of the Cape Verdes, and there's not between here and Cape Town. Reaching Cape Town is more trouble than rounding it, so we may see naught until we get closer to India.
I do love these long voyages. Get to see so much, go so far.
Mr. Burns, I'm minded of that name.
You are?
I had heard tale of a man by the name of Whistler, who was one of the survivors of Solano.
Aye, you found your man. I was aboard the Solano when it went down.
Were pressed onto a British ship. They grabbed me off the Nova Scotia dock one morning. So I heard tale of that ship.
There's a lot of tall tales surrounding what happened to the Solano. What it was a tragedy, and not one that any man could have done anything to avoid. Nature had it in for us that day. Not a small amount lost their lives.
True tragedy.
Aye.
But we bring up old matters. Who was your captain on that voyage?
Oh. Man by the name of Rogers.
Oh. I'd heard a different name, but... And you, Mr. Mallinson, is this your first whaling voyage?
It is, in fact.
Do you like it?
Good and bad, same as anything.
Yeah, one of them philosophical barkies, eh?
Shrugs.
They say Kingsporters are given to flights of fancy, philosophy, and even theology.
Not my area of expertise.
Well, that makes sense given our proximity to Miskatonic University. There are lots of philosophers and theologians there.
Angus shoots her an exasperated look.
Hey, the only great college of New England that did not begin as a seminary. This is a strange place, I hear. Well, I feel like I need to cut back to the captain now. So, Captain, you and Captain Purchase are enjoying tea. But Captain
Sugar,
Purchase...
but probably no milk at this point.
Captain Purchase looks somewhat at ill ease. And he's like always looking around to see if anybody is like in the cabin or listening on deck.
I'm very curious where Phoebe has ended up. I assume she hasn't gone back into
she tends to
Great.
haunt the orlop in the hold.
But yeah, I'm pouring him tea and like not, noting his like how uncomfortable he is, but not saying anything about it.
Good voyage so far for you, Captain.
We got 2 whales
Oh, that
a few weeks back,
spot of luck there.
and then the storm, and then this.
Aye, that was the most unusual storm. Came at an ill time.
The moment you start to expect something of the sea, it gives you the opposite.
I'll lie to you, Captain. Verity's not a happy ship at the moment. You know how it is on a whaler. We do not draw the very top drawer of merchant marine. We were not 3 weeks out of Bedford when young rabble-rouser, vineyarder, complained to all the men of his watch, alleging bad conditions. They were no worse than on any other American whaler, I can assure you that. I don't know what he expected. Bread and roses and soft bolsters for his to sleep on, but well, he got 4 or 5 other lads of a mind to try and either take the ship or, failing that, take one of the longboats and find their fortunes somewhere in the Cape Verdes or in Africa. Well, neither I nor my mates were going to allow that sort of thing to happen. And then I still think that we would have avoided blows had that squall not blown up all of a sudden out of nowhere.
I think that if you have problems of that sort, then it is a problem with the crew.
It's not a problem for that crew anymore.
just give him a bit of a longer look and then nod. What have you
Yeah.
done with them?
One died of a wound during the fighting. One died of a injury suffered during the squall. One, we think, washed overboard. The other two, well, I gave them just the justice one would expect.
Then one can be grateful for the manner of his death.
Perhaps. Captain, I've heard strange stories of the virtues of Kingsport physic.
You have need of a doctor.
My son was wounded in the fighting, sir.
We have a surgeon.
We do too. His infection grows worse. He raves. He sees things that are not there.
And just stop stirring my tea. What sorts of things?
Dreams, visions. He sees cities beneath waves. He sees creatures on high and upon the deep. I fear for his mind. I fear that there's no physic that we have on our ship that can help him.
I'd like to meet him, if that's all right with you.
Do you have any that are crafty in such ways as may help my son?
I think so. And help, meaning help in a very different way.
All right. Sure, this is not ominous.
I'll go bring Phoebe over. Wherever I track her down at.
Well, she's not actually in the hold. Much to your chagrin, you see her dancing on the edge of the main
She's
top.
free to go wherever she likes.
So the top is is where the mast that's actually fixed into the hole. Where that comes up, there's usually a little platform, and then the next mast is stepped over it. So she's on the main mast top, just sort of dancing on the edge, and still in that stupid white shift. She looks down at you and says, "Whoa, have you brought someone for me to play with, Captain?"
I'm not here. Come on down.
Shall I not sport with him? Meow. Meow.
Just hold a hand up.
She comes scrambling down for the lubber hole, as it's called, and gets down on deck. And she kind of goes up to the captain and sniffs him a little bit. Backs away. Tragedy cloaks around him.
Interesting.
Would
you like to hit her now?
She leans on Isaac's shoulder and goes, "Have you taken tea with the captain? Then you've drunk of his despair as well." Isaac is sort of enduring this. He's like, "I've often heard that those who are crafty have their wits cracked."
She's seen things. Heard things too, I think.
Are we to go to the other ship, Captain? Then I shall fetch my bonnet. And she scrambles down the decks and comes back a few minutes later with one of Lilith's bonnets tied around her head.
Oh, all right.
I always like to wear a pretty bonnet when I go a-calling.
Yep, I will offer her my arm.
So, I think the rest of you are up on the deck listening to Prester give a very boring speech about things that some innovation they've tried with the rigging. When you see the captain, Phoebe, and Captain Purchase rowing back.
Oh, Jesus wept.
Angus glances over at Angus glances over at Eamon, like, is this like, does he normally come back like in the middle of the other visit? Like, what's going on?
I think Lilith is sketching the view of the Calypso from this ship, and is like super focused on that up until the point she notices that Phoebe is wearing her bonnet.
What's her reaction to that? Like, what emotion plays on her face when she sees someone else in her bonnet? Is she the type of person who likes to share her clothes, or is she like,
no, she's instantly like, but she can't, she also like kind of can't be mad because it's her stowaway. So it's a very interesting like in between reaction where she is frustrated but like can't really express it because
Hasn't she been like sleeping in your clothes in the trunk for a while?
Pretty much. But like she's now brought a piece of my clothing over to another ship where it doesn't belong without asking Phoebe.
And she scrambles up and sees you, Lilith, and grabs you by your shoulders and gives you like a little half hug and goes, Lilith, you simply must find a bonnet like this. It's so pretty.
I know. It is very pretty. It's almost as though someone lovingly selected it from a storefront. It's that pretty. But it looks very nice on you. Mm.
She's like undoing it to almost like she was going to show it to you, and then she just sort of lets it trail out of her hand, so she's just lightly holding it by the ribbon, and it's just dangling with the brim about to touch the deck, which is probably
She's watching it like, you know, like a pendulum of a clock, like swinging back and forth. She's like, no, don't touch the deck.
Someone's going to die here. Someone has died here. And she like suddenly looks and just turns and faces one of the yards coming off the main mast. There they are. Hello, little birds. There's nothing there.
Yeah, I think Lilith is going to look and can she sense what's beyond?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Cool. So I have a +2 to beyond. That's a 5, 2, 2, 9.
9. I believe I'm allowed to give you horrible things.
Fragments and mysteries.
Fragments and mysteries. As you watch, 2 coal black seabirds come and sit on the edge of the arm, and they look down at you with the most human expression of balefulness and woe. And one of them croaks this horrible dying fall.
I slide up to the captain. All right, now, Captain.
Mm-hmm.
You know that I be a fair man. All I'm saying is, you, me, Angus, get on the boat. Just go back, and all of our troubles will be solved. You're muted.
Are you trying to manipulate another?
No, just begging.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
They're down some crew members. They could use themselves a crazy woman and Phoebe.
And like as an aside, his son, I think he might be talking to God.
God.
And if he is, I would like to hear what he's saying.
Hi. You want me to head back to the ship then? Or do you want me to wait around here for you?
Would you like to head back to the ship, Whistler?
Phoebe woke me up 3 nights ago saying that I would die upside down. I'm a bit done with her prophecies for the week. So I'd like to go back. I guess, yeah.
Do what you like.
That and cap. Doff my cap. I'm going back to the other boat.
Yeah. And turning to Captain Purchase.
Yeah, Angus will probably follow Eamon back, by the way. He's just sort of attached himself to the person who knows shit about boats.
Lilith will absolutely stay. Because Phoebe's here now. So means things are going to get good.
Your new little sister. But yeah, turn to Captain Purchase and just say, your son?
Yes, he's down below.
And just that feels so right. So we shall descend.
So they've rigged up the wardroom, or what would be a wardroom on a military ship, and since Captain Purchase likes to keep his remembered glory of the year 12 when he was but 10 years old about him, it is much the same as you would find on a military ship, but it's been rigged up as a sick bay for his son, who's lying on an actual bed that they've had a carpenter rig up rather than a hammock, strapped into it. He's feverish. You can see that he suffered some kind of head injuries because he's got a bandage wrapped around there, but you can also catch that faint whiff of gangrene from something.
Great. Yeah, just going like his eyes open. Is he at least semi-conscious?
As you approach, his eyes open. He looks right at you, but he's like looking through you.
What do you see?
I see my father bring me up to the altar. Except this time no ram is caught in the woods. I see a knife cut through the water. I see drowned men raise libations. I see you, Clement Thorne. I see you drowned and taken out again.
Third time's the charm, I suppose. When God wants to take me, he will, and not before. And when he does, I will go gladly. Because that is what it means to believe in something. Are you going gladly?
He reaches out a hand to you. Says, I am Jacob, son of my father Isaac. I am to wrestle with an angel. Are you he?
The thing about wrestling an angel is that you can't ever stop. You must spend your life putting it down again and again and again.
Yeah, he clutches your wrist. He's like, yes, you have it, except that thou blessed me. I shall not let go.
I think I want to sense what's beyond.
It's appropriate.
I imagine that Lilith and like Phoebe are kind of in the background, and Lilith's sort of like asking Phoebe for the play-by-play. Like, what does that mean? What's he saying?
He quotes from a big book full of strange things.
Clement was probably raised some version of Catholic.
Or Anglican.
Yeah, one or the other.
Church
of England. That's true. Very true. Not as great. That is a 5, 6, 7.
You're also beyond.
I know. It's wonderful. I was thinking about reading a situation, but then we started talking.
Yeah, that's the situation. It's weird and creepy stuff. Should just call the ship the Creepso.
I thought our ship was weird, but
We do have a corpse downstairs, I'm pretty sure.
He clutches your hand and says, "Mark well thy dreams, Clement."
Yeah, and like still like not, I don't know if we're quite holding hands, but at least like that. Look back toward Phoebe. Just like come forward.
She looks down at him and says, "He has the fragment of a whale's tooth embedded in his lung, and the whale shall cut the life out of him." And at this, the very silent Fernandez starts up, and he starts to whisper something to Prester, the first mate, who slaps and is like, "Speak it out, man." And he turns around and like takes off his hat and is like, "Captain Thorne, they call me Sophocles because they say I am wise. I think it is, as you say, they are taking the piss of me very often. My name is Juan Maria Fernandez y Murrieta. I'm from the Canary Islands. Many years ago, on my first whaling voyage, I was..." He looks like he's about to say jump ship. "I was cast away upon an island in the South Seas. There are many men there who are great whalers. One made for me a harpoon, but the point of it was made of ivory from a sperm whale's tooth. Worked most marvelously, flat, sharp as any razor. Brittle, true, but once set upon a whale, it would stick in his own skin as if it was one of his own bones. I lost that harpoon many a year ago."
And like wait for him to say, "And the other day it turned up again," and then he doesn't.
I know not how I could explain it, but I feel that is what your... He looks at her and goes, "Your bruja was saying to me."
Some things, some objects have a power in them. And go over, or no, I'm still standing there, like look down at Guy.
Jacob.
Oh, that's his actual name.
The Purchase is a very literal guy.
Is there anything you can do for him, to Phoebe? Is there anything you should? Because if the sea has demanded your son from you...
"Thus seem not to me, Captain," says Purchase. "I'll not hear of it. 'Tis as God ordains."
So it is. And so it will be whether you wish it or not.
Phoebe looks up and says, "Life is a dream flower that floats upon the waters. The petals peel off one by one. Perhaps he can be saved in his dream. I shall not dream it, though. I have not that power. I do not want that gift. That way lies madness, Captain. And Phoebe would not be mad."
How long since his injury?
Purchase says it's these 3 days since the gale blew up.
Give it another night, I think. And then we'll see. We can take him over if you'd like, if you'd prefer.
If it would help your surgeon. Phoebe's like, "I shall make him a garland of rue and kelp."
What you said before. witch.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, he'd called her a bruja before.
Yeah.
So I was just like, what you said before. She's a witch, not a surgeon.
They purchase crosses themselves. Be that as it may, we'll see to bring him over. Shall be a difficult operation. I ask that you arrange a bosun's chair, which would be a sling that you could use to haul him up so that they don't have to carry him up the side of the ship. When all is ready, we'll wave a flag and send him over.
All right. I think we'll be together for another day at least, judging by the skies.
So, Angus Mallinson, I think you are standing your watch up in the rigging, because even here, they will keep a watch for whales, because you never know.
Of course.
And your ships are slowly drifting closer to each other on the swell, and so you see one of the sailors on the Verity is kind of edged out to the edge of the yard arm. Says, "Hey there, you aboard the Calypso?"
Yeah, Angus will turn and sort of have a inquisitive look on his face.
I'm called Theodore.
Angus,
What have you heard about our ship?
nothing really. Saw it today.
Well, 3 days ago during that gale, the third officer and several of our forecastle hands went to complain to the captain. There's much awry aboard our ship. We wanted to put in at the Verities or go back to the Azores and refit.
It did seem a little he's clearly grappling for a diplomatic word. It seemed you had hit some hard times.
Oh. Then that squall blew up, and the captain saw that as his opportunity to turn the tide by treachery.
Raises an eyebrow. Raises both eyebrows.
So we lost one man in the storm. We lost one man overboard. He hung the mate and our best foretopman. But three of my mates, they're down below, locked in the forecastle, and the captain won't let them up unless that they swear obedience to him, and they won't do it.
That seems a mite extreme.
I agree. But there's none that have stomach to mutiny against the captain now, given what he had done, but perhaps a man like you might help us. At least break the lock, get them out. If they could get aboard your ship, perhaps your captain would protect them.
Why a man like me in particular?
I can't say, except I've known quiet men like you. I see you watching. I saw you watching everything on the deck. I know not much got past you.
He'll nod at that.
Well, I need someone that can see the real truth of things. Not just what they put a coat of paint on and say is the real thing.
So we're probably going to be near this other boat for a little bit yet, right?
Oh yeah, there's no sign of wind yet.
Okay, well, Angus will look thoughtful. I don't think he's going to out and out promise to help. But he's taken Anthony's words to heart for sure, and he looks very, very reflective about it. I'm debating whether to. So, because I am the outcast, I have a move that is contrary to how I tend to do things personally as a player. But it might be time to, expand my horizons a bit. I have a move that benefits me when I reject the help of others and enter danger alone. You see.
That sounds like something we might want to explore.
Yeah, I don't think it would happen like immediately after this conversation, though. So if there's other things people want to do that are temporally closer to this,
maybe get Jacob to our ship first.
Exactly.
I'm picturing that this may be a very, very interesting night on board the Calypso. Okay, cool. So that all happened.
Can I make a request?
Yes, please.
We still need to see Lilith writing her letter to Miss Lavinia for that failure back when.
Yeah, we keep putting that off, and we should stop that. We should have that. Yeah. How would you like to frame this scene, Lilith?
I think it's probably the twilight before they're going to bring over the injured son. So like just before all of this is about to unfold. And I think Lilith gets a vibe that like things are going to go down here. I mean, she was in the room with Phoebe and with Jacob Purchase and with Clement, and may not have been privy to everything that happened, but certainly was getting the vibe, so to speak.
I mean, Clement wasn't speaking softly, so you can have heard as much of that as you'd like to.
Perfect. So she has a sense that things are going to go down, and I think ruminating upon her kind of, because her mechanic, right, is that like she has to express doubts when she fails a roll, and so the last roll she failed was when she was thrown overboard into the ocean to swim with the whales, and I think she is working through some of that. So she decides to take out pen and paper, much as is Lilith's way, and she begins to write. My dear Hobramble, thus far my seafaring life has been quite smooth, although we are still yet in the shallows of our voyage. The planks creak beneath my heels, saturated with salt and air, and in them I feel the richness of the story yet to be written. Do you ever find this when you write, that the narrative becomes impatient and begins to nip at the heels of its author? Mine has become restless, even before we passed the continental break. I realize today that I have perhaps had my last fresh pastry of the year. The experience is so recent that I have not yet begun to grieve it, and yet I know that I will look back on this moment and yearn for a clearer memory of its buttery layers, the warmth of fresh-baked dough. It's so strange to have this future sight, a premonition of nostalgia and longing. But we writers have the skill to capture our present so vividly that we need not rely on our faulty, untrustworthy memories. We may relive the experience at will. There is power in altering our reality with fiction. I've always said so. Our captain is, well, I have recently had the pleasure of tea with our captain, among other things, and I must say I'm even more encouraged at the odds that our voyage will bear fruit. He is a veteran of the sea and directs our ship with masterful hands, roughened with time and danger and strength, eyes dark with what they have seen, shadowed with blackest obsidian. I could swear they have grown darker since, well, read my novel for the details. I could not have cast a more perfect player myself. I had my doubts, and yet indeed still do, although not on this score. We had an omen, you see, before we took to the sea. A feverish girl stumbling out of the mist, pale as death, having lost a sense of herself and time. I know you think such things fanciful, but she looked at me, saw me and cried out with sympathy, said I was damned as well. I brought her aboard as a stowaway in case she'll be of further use to us. But I admit I was perturbed by her pronouncement. I am not afraid of the ocean, of cramped quarters, or of mighty whales, of sailors or seasickness, but in that moment, the subsequent silence heavy with the air of prophecy, I felt the first symptoms of true fear stir in my breast. I have to trust that when I find my fathomless, they will welcome me, and not destroy me for my insolence in seeking them. But I cannot know for certain which it will be. That is, of course, the nature of the unknown. Knowing comes with a price. This is a long letter, but you are not bound to answer it. Possibly, if you do answer it and direct it to Lilith Belvedere, you will missend it, for the sea is a fickle courier. Night is coming fast, and with it, I know not what comes. But it is something interesting, and something adventurous, and something I can write about. I wish you were here. You would have much to say about this. But, as you are not, I shall have to keep you informed with my next letter. Yours, Lilith.
They row Jacob over. I'm trying to decide if Isaac comes with him. I'm inclined to say he doesn't, that he is a captain and must see to his command. I think they send Sophocles, though, the little harpooner. Sophocles Fernandez.
So that was his last name. I'm like,
Yeah. They were taking the piss.
You don't say.
Is Captain Purchase like watching this?
Oh
happen
yeah,
from
yeah,
the boat? Okay.
yeah. You could see him like pacing on the quarterdeck, probably looking over at you, standing on your quarterdeck.
Not pacing.
Nope, just immovably fixed on the weather side, as is your God-given right. Not that there's really a weather side if there's no wind blowing, but you know, there's traditions and all things.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out whose sacrifice this is meant to be, his or the son's, because that will matter. We'll find out.
Phoebe comes up. This time she's wearing one of Whistler's old vests.
I love Phoebe's loose understanding of personal property.
Did she give back Lilith's bonnet, or is that just now a part of her outfit?
I think at some point she just
both.
handed it back to you and didn't even pay attention to it.
Just left it on your bed.
Or just like handed it to Lilith and like pranced away.
Baby.
I am Mr. Whistler.
You got into my my clothes again there, didn't you?
What? She looks down at her shift. There's Mr. Whistler.
You know what? Look, we had an agreement. I said you can have any of the doctor's clothes you want. You stay out of mine.
What you talking about, Whistler, man? She like grabs you by the shoulder. Goes, Whistler, be careful. You might go cracked out in this ocean.
Oh, I've definitely been worrying about that now. How have you been faring? You went over to the other boat, then saw the sick man.
Phoebe bides well. She'll be the admiral of the ocean sea one day.
Good. I think. How's the lad though? Is he think he's gonna pull through?
Well, if you were not distracting me with all your blather, man, I'd be going to talk to the captain and tell him to come to the ceremony.
So, I'll leave you to it. Just don't be getting any ceremonial fluids on my vest.
Well, of course not. Your vest is in your locker. She does like a double take to the audience.
Have a good night, Miss Phoebe. I'm due for my ration of grog.
So Phoebe prances up to you, Captain, salutes. Captain, begging your pardon,
Just
sir.
the barest hint of a smile.
We must see to the care of Jacob.
And like he's been brought on board and put somewhere.
Yeah, he's down in your cabin.
Okay. Yeah, and just glance over to the Verity and Miss Captain Purchase, presumably still standing there. And then look very pointedly away. All right, then.
So as she leads you down the companionway into the cabin, she clutches you suddenly tightly and goes, I need to tell you something, Captain. Phoebe is mad. But I know a hawk saw. A hawk from a handsaw. Mind you that.
I would like to read another's thoughts real quick.
Good luck.
That is plus brains. That's a 7 on the dice. Plus 0 is still 7. All right.
I believe that gets you one question, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. What does she need most? There we go. That's an interesting one.
For you to do what she tells you to.
We're not married yet, Phoebe.
No. The sea was my bride.
Totally not saying that out loud.
Okay.
That is a me, Sarah comment. Yeah. Just not a bit like what she said made perfect sense. And head to Jacob.
So what I need to know is Lilith part and parcel of this whole thing?
Oh, absolutely. I think Lilith has brought her books with her up to the ceremony. I think she is trying to make herself useful in the way that Phoebe instructs.
So Jacob has been laid out on a blanket, and candles are ringing him. And most of those are good beeswax candles, but there are several whale tallow candles. And whale might burn sweeter than other oil, but you make a candle out of whale tallow, it's going to be smoky and somewhat bad to scent. And she has been brewing some kind of foul black looking tea, which she pours down Jacob's throat and causes him to choke and sputter. But it eventually gets it down. Then spits in it and offers it to you, Captain.
What does it smell like? Like, I'll drink it. I'm just curious.
It smells like an orca whale that once swam up next to your boat when you were on an expedition in the far northern waters. It smells like a predator.
Is Jacob at all conscious?
Conscious but not lucid.
Is what I'm going to drink going to take effect immediately, or could I have a few seconds?
Oh, you could definitely have a few seconds.
Okay, yeah, just gulp it down, probably just it probably tastes as foul as it smells. So that I'm just trying not to gag, and then just keep going. And then put the cup the empty cup like down on top of one of Lilith's books.
I think Lilith like grabs the cup and like looks at the like bottom of it to see if there's any to see if there's anything in it.
I think Phoebe's at your shoulder immediately. It's just, what do you see?
What do I see? Can I sense what's beyond?
Sure. I invite you to.
Delightful.
Je vous invite de jeter les dés.
Okay. That's a 9 again. So that means I get Fragments and Mysteries.
Written in mystic runes, or so it seems. These shattered portents. Dead men's bones used to cast fortunes. Tell you that Jacob, if you'll pardon the expression, could be a ladder to the fathomless for you, should he die tonight.
I think Lilith looks at Phoebe. Is he going to die?
Our problem, you see, is that he's precious to someone, but no one in this room.
Everyone's precious to someone, no?
Do you love him?
Jacob? No, I don't know him.
Exactly.
Oh, it's so very easy to game with life and death, but then you are a captain, and thus held responsible for life and death aboard your ship, are you not, Captain Thorne?
I'm not.
You may not know him, but he is a character. He has a part to play.
We are not paper people, Lilith. And he looks into that black mirror on the wall, right? You can see just the reflection of the candles. I used to know with absolute certainty what God wanted of me. And I think I want to tag your Shepherd of Men move.
Yeah. Let's do it. So, when someone comes to me for guidance, teach them to act as a true believer. If they heed your words, they take +1 to the next roll needed to follow my advice. I think Lilith meets your gaze in the obsidian mirror. The cup says that Jacob could be a portal of sorts, a gateway, a path to the fathomless. I believe that he is.
And he turns to look at you, and as he turns, the face side of the Leviathan on his neck comes into view. It's kind of like it's swimming toward you. And then look down at Jacob. Stand up.
Yeah, I think what Lilith sees is the captain stands up and pitches face forward onto the deck. Angus Mallinson.
Yes. So Angus has been torn and sort of, thinking in circles for much of the day. He's aware that obviously he owes, or he views himself as owing a fair amount to Clem for being on this boat. He genuinely is not, given what got him here in the first place, he'd prefer not to make additional trouble. He'd love to, keep his head down, do the work, have a relatively uneventful voyage, despite everything going on around him. But also, like, he noticed for himself the sort of sense of wrongness on that other ship. He was distressed by what he heard from Anthony. I think he dislikes the idea of, the captain's cruelty, the fact that these other people have been sort of like imprisoned on their own ship. We haven't really defined much about the guy that Angus killed accidentally or otherwise. I don't think he was a particularly good person, though. I think maybe parts of what he's hearing here resonate with whatever that guy got up to, whatever like was the cause of some antipathy there. And so he does, after much agonizing, decide that at minimum he can try and break the break those people out of where they've been locked below. He maybe can't like guarantee a space for them on this ship, and he's not going to go to the captain because he suspects that he would be told to, or he fears that he would be told to just let it lie. But he can at minimum give them a bit of a fighting chance, as it were, to rectify some of the issues on their vessel. So he is going to strike off on his own to do something reckless. Uncharted waters for me as a player. But that's fun. It's nice to expand your horizons. So I have this move, Better Off Alone. When you reject the help of others and enter danger alone, roll plus brawn, and then some stuff happens. Potentially some very good stuff. Potentially some extremely bad stuff. And I have this handy dice roller. And I'm going to roll a 8. Could be worse. Could be worse.
Could be worse. On a success, you get to choose those two, but now you also have to choose one of the other ones. So.
Yes. And I think I will choose that I gain the element of surprise and have the right tools.
That seems, to be the obvious choices there.
Yeah, like this is kind of an in and out situation with relatively little sound and fury, especially because he's sneaking onto someone else's boat. And then as for choosing one, probably the most narratively interesting thing here is that my recklessness would cause mistrust from my allies. Particularly because he's already made some decisions that people on this crew considered questionable vis-a-vis the decision to rescue the boat steerer rather than take the opportunity to kill a whale. So yeah, I think how far apart are these boats at this point?
They're like probably 300 yards, whatever that works out to. It's considerably less than half a mile to row over. Probably closer than that.
Yeah.
Several hundred feet or something.
Yeah,
so I mean, you could even swim it.
Yeah, I'm debating whether he steals the boat. I don't think he does, because I think in his head, this is more justifiable if he has the sort of minimum of impact on the ship's supplies and so forth. So I think he's a fit guy. He does know how to swim. Like, he hasn't been in ocean water before particularly, but he knows what he's doing in water generally. He's probably pleasantly surprised by the fact that the salt makes it a little bit easier to stay buoyant. So I'll get across.
Oh yeah. You get that hit. So swimming over is not a problem.
Yeah.
The problems will come later.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the element of surprise and the right tools. So when he gets on board the other ship, I guess I'm trying to find where these people are actually locked down, while obviously evading the eyes of whoever is on watch, which hopefully is helped by the fact that presumably they are looking for some bigger and more distant things than like some weirdo swimming across from another boat.
Right, and it's also night, and you're not moving anywhere, so they probably have the sails backed so that you're not going to move much anyway. So they're not really keeping a full watch. They probably sent the watch down below and just have 1 or 2 people up there, shipkeepers.
Not the most attentive.
No. So you were told they were locked in the forecastle, which is at the front of the ship, and there is a hatch down. That's normally where the crew, where the hands will sleep. So, and as you approach, there is indeed a lock on the hatch.
Alrighty. Now, I don't think anything about Angus's backstory suggests that he's necessarily well versed in lockpicks. But I assume we're talking like a fairly basic like padlock kind of thing.
Yeah.
He might try and jimmy it somehow.
Well, you do have the right tools.
I don't know exactly what the right tools are in this situation. It could be that he's obtained some lockpicks and is just not entirely confident in his ability to use them. But
it could be anything from a cold chisel to try and hammer it down to just try maybe a pry bar to pry the actual hinge off so that you can pull it open.
Yeah, the pry bar for the hinge is probably the most in keeping with his actual skill set as it's been outlined. So
what I'm going to do is you have the right tools, so this will work. This does feel like I need to ask you to act under pressure.
That seems entirely reasonable.
Yeah, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep in mind, though, that you do have the right tools. So, like, how we interpret these results will depend greatly on other things.
And act under pressure is balance, right?
Yes.
That is a 9.
Okay. So you get it off, but it turns out to be much harder than you thought, and eventually you just have to like put your back into it, and you finally pry off the hinge, or probably actually just pry the lock open but it makes not a huge amount of noise, but it makes a loud, sharp noise, which is
a clatter that stands out on a quiet deck.
It's the kind of thing that if you're on a ship anyway, you're going to be listening for, because, lots of bad things can happen when things go clatter when they're not supposed to.
Great.
But you pry the hatch open, and these 3 guys are looking inside. They clearly haven't eaten for a couple days. And they're like looking up at you like, who the hell are you?
Your friend told me about what happened.
Right. Is it a mutiny?
I think that's up to you.
So, like, they're crawling out on deck, like, well, what are our options, mister?
I'm just another traveler. I just couldn't let... Your friend Anthony explained some of what you've been enduring on this ship, and I just couldn't... I really should not stay.
So they're like looking around, and they see your boat, and like 2 of them look and they make a choice, and the third just shakes his head and says, no, you both go. I'll stay here, and perhaps the captain will give me mercy that I stayed here to take my punishment.
If what I've been told is true, I will warn you that I think that sort rarely do. But your choice is yours to make.
Do you feel you're going to manipulate him, or does it not quite rise to that? Because I could see it going either way. That's why.
Yeah, I don't think I think Angus is a big believer in like people making their own choices. So like he'll express, his concern that this person has misread the situation or like is banking on a possibility that is maybe not the most likely, but like he's not going to actively try and like pressure him into changing his mind.
All right, so he nods and crawls back down into the deck. The other two are like, "Did you bring a boat?"
No.
They're like trying to judge it and thinking about, how little food they've had, and says, "Well, we best try it. I can swim a little, but my mate Arnold here is not a strong swimmer."
Angus gives a bit of a look. I think he did assume that anyone who like makes their living on a boat would somewhat know what they're doing in that regard.
Sailors are famous for not knowing how to swim.
Well, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. But he's gonna be like, he's gonna nod and he'll be like, I will help as best I can. Attempt to sort of scuttle down the side of the boat the way he came.
Yeah, I think they slide down the chains, and one of them like stands up. He hands down a spare oar from one of the boats.
Oh, that's a good
And
call.
yeah, so the two of them are like clutching onto this oar and bobbing up and down on the swell, and like so it's like not a lot of waves, but the swell can still rise like 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah, of course.
So I think that if you want to herd these guys back without any trouble, that's gonna act
be
under
another roll.
pressure. Yeah, that's acting.
No, that seems entirely reasonable. Oh, that is. Oh Christ! I misread which dice just came up. It is a 6. That's not fun. Well, it is fun, but it's not fun for Angus.
All right. So this is what happens. You're getting pretty close to the boat, but
this might be a good opportunity for mistrust from my allies, I suppose.
The swell rises and slams you guys into the side of the Calypso, and they lose the oar. So now 2 of them are struggling pretty hard, getting slammed up against the side of the boat by the swell. And here's the deal. You can see that Arnold is clearly struggling. If you call out, that Captain Thorne is keeping sailors up on the deck. Call out for man overboard. Someone from your ship will come. Probably. If they'll at least investigate.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Angus is not a fan of avoidable loss of life. We know that he has done things that he knows he would face potentially pretty significant consequences for in the past. So, I think this would be a situation where he would call out.
So Whistler,
I don't think everyone would know. The ships are far enough apart that like one tiny little voice in the water is not gonna.
So Whistler, are you on deck?
Yes.
All right. I think you're hanging out by the helm, and Corey is standing there, smoking on her pipe. She's about to ask you something when you hear, fainter than you should, somebody's crying, "Man overboard! Man overboard!"
Did you hear that, Corey? Here, grab that rope. I get the lantern. And I go rush it over.
She grabs the rope and her harpoon.
Said, no way, that's a man. Whatever. I look
All
over.
due respect, Mr. Whistler. You don't know what's in these waters.
I feel like there's a lot of things I don't know and that I should.
She nods rather enthusiastically.
No time for you. I look over the side. I see, I'm assuming, Angus and 2 strange faces.
Yep. One of them who is clearly in a lot of distress. And,
Oh.
it's like one of those, you see him going down, and then after agonizing interval, bobs back up.
The hell you lot doing down there? I lower the rope, whatever the basic life-saving.
Yeah, one of those guys, you're gonna need to intervene. He's just not gonna be able to grab.
I'll go down. I'll go down personally.
Don't love that sound.
So that's a total of 4. I
Maybe.
rolled snake eyes.
Well, it is possible for people to help you. If they-
Enough?
Yeah, actually, alas is weird. You can get a +2 if you roll a 10.
But isn't a 6 still a failure?
But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a total of 4?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, then you're screwed. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the sea is a harsh mistress. Arnold goes down before you can get to him.
I
That's
get
a
the
bummer.
other two.
Yeah, that is a bummer. How are we feeling? I want to take a temperature because that's my inclination on the move. Given
That was going
what
to be
we,
my suggestion.
yeah.
I mean, it seems fair.
Yeah.
It seems fair.
But you're able to grab the other guy, who I will give a name, Raymond. So you fish them out, and Corey's looking at them both very looking at you, at Raymond curiously, and looking at you even more puzzled, Angus, and leaning on that harpoon that's not pointing at anything in particular.
Whistler takes one final look over the like the side, just that last little bit of hope that maybe the guy popped back up, but he didn't, and he just immediately turns around to the two guys he just fished out of the ocean. I'm gonna need answers, and I'll need them right fucking now.
Yeah, and Angus his tone is going to be respectful, certainly. I don't think it's going to be like super like deferential in the like very like abject like looking for forgiveness kind of way, and it's also not going to be contrite particularly. Like he does feel he's made the right decision, I guess, but he's he's gonna look at Whistler and he's gonna be like, was a mission of mercy, sir.
A mission of mercy? For what?
These two men and one other had been unjustly imprisoned by their captain, who who I was informed had been treating the people on his ship very cruelly.
Oh, is that so? I didn't know you were a lawyer as well as a whaler. Now,
I think
what-
anyone can recognize cruelty, sir.
Oh, sure. You're going to recognize some here in about 2 minutes. That's neither here nor there. I understand you want to be a compassionate man, and don't think me that I'm not, but how do you know they're telling the truth?
You saw that boat as much as I did. You knew there was something wrong.
Oh, I know there's something wrong. The captain's lad there is sick as a dog. They're out some of their supplies. And yeah, they had a bit of a scuffle there. But the thing is, man, we weren't there. We don't know the full story. And now you've involved another ship's problems with ours.
I'll take the consequences, M2.
Oh,
But-
aye. It's not going to be me dishing them out. You wait right here. And you. Yeah, you look like you've been through a rough couple days. Down to the galley with you. Get yourself some water, some biscuits. Corey, keep an eye, though. I'll be back with the captain.
Oh, aye, sir.
So, pound, pound, pound.
Phoebe opens the door and goes, hist, hist.
Phoebe, not right now.
You can't come in, Whistler.
I'm not asking to come in. I need the captain.
She turns and goes, he's not available.
Phoebe, this is not time for games. This is serious matters. A man just died.
Eamon Burns. I do not play games. Not in this moment.
That's fine, but blast it all, I need the captain. This is his thing to judge, not mine.
Are you
Trust
master
me.
of yourself, Eamon Burns?
Could you say it one more time?
Are you master of yourself, Eamon Burns?
Oh, aye, but I am not master.
Then master the ship. Slam.
It's a madhouse. The whole damned ship has become a madhouse.
Speaking of-
Fine.
Speaking of which, Angus, after Eamon stalks off and Raymond goes down below to talk to the cook, Corey motions to you and walks over to the boat that the captain uses, which is swinging from its davits on one of the quarters. And she hops in and gestures for you to join her.
I believe I'm expected to stay on deck and wait for the captain.
You're adjacent to the deck.
He'll come over. I assume it doesn't look like she's preparing to, set that boat off or anything.
No, she's just sitting there, and you're sitting there, and the boat is just swinging in the davits a little bit as the sea swells the ship. And she's still clutching her harpoon in the moonlight. You're a hunter.
He nods.
You've lived upon that which you have slain.
He nods again.
Do you remember that we spoke of the sea once and how all life in the sea lives off other life in the sea?
I do, yes.
And yet you showed compassion to this man. And I saw your face. You were sorrowful that his friend was not as fortunate.
Death is part of life. I've never pretended otherwise, and that means animals killing each other, and that includes us. He sort of gestures at his coat, which I think is leather. He's like, I've killed things, I've eaten them, I've used their bodies to fashion things for myself, but senseless death is something else altogether. And what I think was happening on that ship was senseless, and it was cruel.
My family would have it that the land has nothing that it can teach the sea. They speak of the immortality of the ocean, and yet I know, be it that Adam's curse never touch you once down below those waves, something will come to find you eventually. And there are more things in the depths of the ocean, Angus Mallinson, that are pretended by all the science of the world.
The land has its mysteries too.
I know. I was assured that they were not to be mine. And yet, of all that I have come across, who are kin or not to me, I feel in my heart I am most like to you. A predator, but I wish to temper it. And she looks at the steel of her harpoon. Temper it with kindness and not blood. Does that make me weak, Angus Mallinson?
I've seen a lot of predators. I've killed a fair number. I've chosen not to tangle with a fair number of others. And most of them are not killers without cause. I think recognizing when death is necessary and when it is not is anything but weak.
I hope that is true.
I suppose we'll find out who has the right of it one way or another.
I hope when that happens that you'll be by my side, at least that one time, Angus.
There's a pause for sure, and then I think he's like, I should like to be, but we'll see what unfolds. I know there are a lot of people on this boat who make a business of telling the future, dreaming of what might come to pass, but I don't know. I don't know anything about that kind of thing. I just as things happen, you choose how to address them, and I think that's all you can do, really.
She nods and steps back on the deck, but she turns to you and says, "One more thing, Angus. Do you seek redemption or escape? For the first, I nor no other marsh could give you that. But the second, yes, the second I could give you."
I think there's another pause, and rather than answering directly, he just says, "I stand by all the choices I've made."
So, Captain, there's a whale song in the air, which draws you onto the deck.
Okay.
A whale song that strangely resolves somehow into the words of a song that your lover sang to you. As you stand on the deck, it is bathed in an unnatural bleaching moonlight, far more intense white than you would normally expect. The deck is completely empty, save for the enormous head of the sperm whale that you were rendering. Of course, all this happened some days ago, but it's there and you can hear it singing. As you watch, the great jaw opens and sliding out, covered in seawater and gore, is your lover.
His name is Edland.
Yes.
There we go.
Lord Edland, yes.
Yeah, just like
Was
close.
he also a naval officer?
No, I think met him after, like, got washed up in London and like all tangled up into all of that like religious-y stuff. Yeah, but just close my eyes and just I knew it.
What did you know, Clement, the love? You were always so good at knowing things.
You were closer to him than I was until the end. I suppose I didn't know. But now it seems the only outcome. That what was given freely can never be taken away.
I mean, I suppose I know one or two things you don't. I know what it feels like to have a knife driven into my flesh by my lover.
You sound like it wasn't a choice you made.
I'm thinking a lot about choices. It was your belief that you were saved for some other purpose. Was there choice in that, Clement, love?
Not in mine.
No, not yours. So I've been thinking about how you embraced the choice made by another, and perhaps I did the same thing. And I was your sacrifice. What does that make you, Clement?
The hand of God. in that moment when I slit your throat?
I suppose I could be all sorts of things about how prophet of God is not a career with a particularly happy lifetime. But I should not speak that which the modern day Jonah already knows.
Then you regret. Do you regret?
I think the dead always regret the living. Do you know why? It's because the living port us around with them, tethering us, like a harpoon driven into the flesh. Squirm as you will, the point just buries itself deeper and deeper into you.
I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I'm dead. It doesn't matter now. I'm beyond apology, beyond regret. What regrets I have of yours, Clement, not mine.
I was afraid. And I thought for a long time that I did love you too much, love you more than I ought to have, loved you more than the God I thought I could love through you.
Well, that is the way of a man, to love something through someone else.
Do you want to go?
Where would I go, Clement?
Then do you want me to drag you behind the ship like an anchor?
Well, you've already been doing that. I'm a sea anchor to you. I was wondering if perhaps you would know what to do with this. And he holds up a notched harpoon that's carved out of ivory.
Yeah, and Clement's eyes widen just a bit, like, oh, these ritual items. Would you have done the same for me if
Killed
it were
you.
asked of you?
Killed you?
Hmm.
Well, it's hard to remember. It's the thing about it. All the things fade from you, till you know that there were such things as roses and beaches and skin. They all fade from you.
I feel like at some point I should test if my love is true here. Want me to do that now?
This seems appropriate.
Cool.
Before I stray into any more Rilke nonsense.
Let's see. That is plus beyond. Great. 7 on the dice. Plus 2 is 9. The only +1 I have that could possibly be relevant is the +1 ongoing for something related to a god. Maybe is my note there from the well.
I literally think there's no other way, but this should be your call completely on that one.
Well, I'm not quite. I don't know. Yeah, this is the problem.
I know.
I don't know.
My love.
Lilith, tell me what to do.
Actually, are you acting on Lilith's advice here?
Oh. I mean, her advice was kill Jacob.
Ish. I mean,
or give you
Lilith-
the opportunity to kill Jacob yourself.
Lilith was passing on knowledge, I think, and I think Lilith is letting, I mean, as is a scholar's way, the Socratic method, very much letting you do what you will with the knowledge she gives.
Teacher. I mean, the vibe that I was getting from him in that conversation was he was pretty unhappy.
Well, I mean,
So taking a full 10 doesn't feel quite right to me, honestly.
cool. So you get a +2 on your next roll, but your love is not strong. It may be swallowed by regrets or anger. Sure seems to be the way this one was going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how much do you care about this poor blighter in your cabin? Jacob, who was sacrificed by Isaac.
The problem is that I don't care about him half as much as I cared about you.
He's still holding out that harpoon point to you. Like, you could draw my blood again, and that would probably save him. He is alive. I mean, he does have that going for him.
Which end is he handing me?
I think it's his right hand.
Oh no, which end of the harpoon?
Oh, I'm sure he has it with the butt end.
Okay.
Forward.
I will take it. How big is it? Like 1'3"?
It's
Oh,
just
okay,
the
not
point.
big.
It's just the point. So.
Gotcha. Okay. I will take it. Would you let me?
Oh, my love, you know that I won't resist you in anything you choose.
What is sacrificed can never be lost, and what is given freely can never be taken away. And I will take the harpoon and just heel turn toward the great cabin.
So, Lilith, you've been watching the captain toss in angry dreams, and then suddenly sit bolt upright. And much to your astonishment, he's holding in his hand a notched ivory harpoon point.
Did that come from your dream?
And like visibly like composing himself again. After a fashion, you told me what was to be done here.
No. I told you what could be done here. I watched the cetacean perish. Its blood lanced the dark water, crimson threads unspooling in the churn and froth. I watched its spark drain weakly into the brackish depths. You say we are not paper people. The black cup tells us that Jacob can open the way to the fathomless. Those who I greeted at the bottom of that well. Those who spoke to you. But as far back as we have literary records, great powers have tested and tried their faithful. It is said that there are fish at the bottom of the sea that make their own light as a way to call prey out of the dark. It is a fool who in ignorance acts on avarice and ambition alone. We could kill Jacob. Whether we should is all the difference in the world.
Feels like you're trying to give me advice.
Yeah, maybe I am.
I haven't come to you for advice this time.
She's going to give it to you anyway.
Yeah, and I think whether or not we should just like take the harpoon and just say, I made a promise. Phoebe asked me on the ship before I threw her over whether the promise she'd made was greater than the promise that I had made to you, but the promise that I made to you wasn't the one that mattered. It was the one I made to God to give to him anything that he desired. And then I'm going to stab Jacob in the chest with the harpoon.
I think Lilith, as you do this, Lilith will look at you. Sacrifice is an interesting word because it is so very different as a verb and as a noun. As a verb, to sacrifice is a cost that one pays alone, an internal calculus, an exchange. A sacrifice is something else altogether, something you arrange to pay itself in your stead. This is what you have chosen, Clement Thorne.
And I'm going to roll, what's my move? Where'd it go? Make a sacrifice. I guess he's precious to somebody.
You get a 2 on this, so
+2, you said?
yeah, you get a +2 on top of it.
And this is plus beauty. Oh dear. +0. Okay. So that is a 6, 7, 8 total. Oh, wait, also a +1 from ongoing god stuff?
That's fair. That's
Lilith,
a 9.
would you like to help?
Or hinder.
Or hinder?
Lilith's given her warning.
All right, guess that's a 9 then.
Choose 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then choose 1.
A critical opportunity, for sure. I feel like gives heart to your allies is the one I want, but I'm not sure if that makes sense here. Is Lilith in this moment an ally or an enemy?
That's a very big question. Lilith would not have killed him. But Lilith is interested and has stakes in the outcome. So kind of a bit of both.
Mechanically, which would you prefer?
I feel like she kind of tried to warn you off this course of action. So I think enemy makes the most sense, even though her interests are kind of aligned with yours here.
Then I will go with your sacrifice causes your enemy to doubt their actions.
I think what this might look like, did you stab him in the lung, like where the whale tooth is?
Oh,
because
good memory.
I
Yes,
think
absolutely.
maybe if the whale tooth kind of comes up with the harpoon.
I think when you pull the harpoon back, the blade is whole.
Because I sort of thought that if there was like something there, like some sort of object or artifact that she could take that came from within, that would be a kind of doubt that like her not going forward was what her Fathomless wanted.
Well, you have the whalebone harpoon tip now made whole.
Oh, so it took it out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. A miracle.
And what's the one you're going to choose from the other list?
I'm torn between you expose yourself to injury and you escalate the situation. Those are definitely the most interesting to me in this moment because I haven't had the chance yet to use that move you gave me.
Not expose yourself to hatred or judgment, huh?
I mean, it's Phoebe and Lilith here, you know?
Does it? Oh, no.
Don't
worry
other
about
ship.
that. There's all sorts of possibilities here.
You're very right. You're very right. Hatred or judgment, yes, absolutely then. And I can only choose one.
Yeah.
I also want to escalate the situation.
Oh, I'll handle that. Don't worry about it.
Okay, great.
So yeah, you do that, and Phoebe just goes, "So be it," and opens the door, and there's Eamon.
What?
Perfect.
What in the hell is going on?
And just stand up, like with the harpoon tip still in one hand. I told you to have faith. And you did. And now I'm asking you to have faith again.
Captain, what?
It was what it wanted. What he wanted.
What this god fellow you keep talking to?
And Jacob. He told
Jacob?
me never to let him go. And now I will drag him behind this ship like an anchor.
You're gonna toss him overboard?
Is that what you think should be done?
No. I thought he was coming over to us to heal him up, and Phoebe was gonna use her.
He's been healed.
Just for clarification, how is Jacob doing right now?
He's dead.
Okay.
Very dead, I
He's-
would imagine.
Like, Captain, he's dead.
There's a lot of blood, Whistler.
The whole place is covered in blood. Lilith, what in blazes are you doing in here?
I tried to stop him.
Did you now?
He took his spark.
Yeah.
Coward.
Sacrifice. You opted for noun, when the fathomless called for a verb.
But
It was both.
He meant nothing to you.
Or
It meant
Eamon.
something to the Leviathan.
Angus, feel free to jump in on this if you want.
I'm not here. I'm looking forward to my conversation with the captain probably next week, but I'm not in this one.
Captain, you murdered a sick man in cold blood. I understand that your religion requires some sacrifices. This was a sick man who wasn't in his right mind to agree with, to be sacrificed.
Phoebe looks at you, Whistler, and she says, well, we're all dying, Whistler. We're all dead men eventually. Except some on this crew, perhaps.
Phoebe,
Yes, Whistler.
you're not right in the head. You know that, right? The fever's done something to you.
Has it? Or have I just been given the Cassandra sickness? Eamon.
Captain, I never thought I'd have to do this. Especially with you. Especially after what you and I experienced together. But I'm sorry, you're confined to quarters. I'm taking over the ship. We're getting back to land. This madness has to stop.
As Whistler says that, Lilith steps between them. You must not interfere with what happens next, Whistler.
What's going to happen next there, Doctor?
I don't know.
Oh, good.
We are going to find out.
Oh, aye. I'm going to tell you what happens next. I'm going to go grab our navigator there. I'm going to find the closest shore and go there. And we're going to dock. We're going to sort this madness out.
With no wind.
And at that point, Nathaniel comes crawling down through the scuttle. There's a fair wind blowing, Captain, from the north.
For
Shall I
once.
set sail?
Aye.
Aye.
Southwards, eh, Captain?
Aye.
So be it. Lay up there, you dogs. Call the watch.
This isn't over, Captain. We need to have a serious talk. I leave.
Okay.
So do you lock the door behind you?
Yeah, I do.
I think Lilith is looking out at the water. We may try to go elsewhere. The trap has been set. The bait has been taken. They will follow.
We will go where we are meant to go.
I can only hope this was not a test.
Everything is a test. And you failed.
A ladder is a thief's tool for those who would skulk in shadows and seek back doors into palaces.
It wasn't a ladder, but a pit. And we have fallen into it. Down, down, down to the bottom. You wanted, when you first came to me here, to look into that mirror, Lilith. Look.
I seek a gateway. Is that the same as a pit?
Is it? The sea has no doors.
I seek apotheosis. I do not want to be swallowed, but to swallow.
We'll see.
And I think Lilith looks in the mirror.
Roll to sense what's beyond.
Of course. Ooh.
And like in this mirror, right? Like you don't see now, like the candles. You don't see Clement. You don't see anything.
10. Visions and truths.
Oh, do we get to end on a vision? That's super fun.
Lilith Belvedere. Do you seek clearer advice?
I do not want to be prey. I do not want to be bait in a trap. I want to be among the fathomless, not consumed by them.
Then prepare ye for the messenger.
I shall await.
That seems like a good place to stop for tonight. It's amazing how I stump people right on the first question.
It's fine.
Would you like to play this game that we all sat down to play?
Wait, we have to play the game?
The story doesn't just unfold.
I could do that for you, but then we might as well just play D&D. But I'm bummed. Okay, Andy Byrne. I'm a little loopy today, apparently.
It's perfectly fine. Are you going to do the Mercer noise effects?
No.
Oh, good.
I'm going to touch this cat for a minute.
True words were never spoken.
Not pet the cat. Touch the cat.
Hey, hold the pickles, hold the lettuce. Moral quandaries don't upset us. So while I was cutting the video, I made sure that I wrote down all the prophecies in my book.
How many book of prophecies is this at this point?
I mean, those are the ones that have. Okay, shadow. Okay, yep, that. Yep.
He stepped on something, and we all got a notification that says "Cat wants to talk."
I literally said cat would like to speak.
Yeah, Cat would like to speak. Oh,
Beautiful.
I mean, sometimes the comedy is just there.
I don't know what to say. He is as he is.
Onyx
That's
has
one of
just
the
been
reasons.
sleeping there this whole time.
Oh,
Oh no. Oh, no, they're mobbing me. Hey, well, you gotta come on camera now too, Will. See, hi.
That's one of the reasons I like having this bigger computer, because it'll show my window so that when a rat jumps up, I will notice before they've thrown half the dirt onto the floor.
I feel having an epistolary phase in a Kingsport game. I have truly reached apotheosis here. I think you may be the first player character to ever write a letter. I'm not sure. Emily Dickinson did write a letter once.
I'll have to remember at some point to write a letter as Whistler.
Oh yeah, dear,
Well, I've already asked you to. You said you were gonna.
I'm gonna, yeah. I've had
dear
a very,
little
very busy
sister,
week.
please get me the hell out of here. Oh God, oh God, oh God.
Dear Gus, Jesus wept.
Hey, I have it on extremely excellent authority that Jesus was a sailor when he walked upon the water. That's a nice little deep cut from my Canadian friends. Edmund, I know
wait.
this world is killing you.
I'm just saying, I'm really into the contrast between the actions that Eamon was coming to the captain to criticize and the actions he just walked in on.
Yeah, like, Cap,
I
you would
think,
believe this? Oh my God.
I think